9 Spine-chilling psychopath encounters. Discover the sinister truths of the cursed and haunted. Jenna flipped through the pile of mail on her kitchen counter, her eyes heavy from another sleepless night spent nursing her youngest, Max. Among the usual bills and advertisements, one flyer stood out, its stark black letters screaming a warning about a notorious predator, a masked figure said to haunt Crestwood Heights. It felt like a bad dream, yet the whispered fears of neighbors crept into her mind like smoke curling through a room. The irony of the peaceful suburb she called home cracked, exposing the rust beneath the surface. As she stood frozen with the flyer in hand, she noticed the furtive glances exchanged among her neighbors. Their whispers wrapped around her, tight and suffocating. What had she missed? Had her exhaustion dulled her senses so completely that she hadn't noticed the tension building in her own community? That night, her old home creaked with a new voice, a low, unsettling groan that had never been there before. She tried to brush it off, blaming her mind playing tricks after too many late shifts. But when Jenna peered into Lucy's room, her heart sank. Her daughter sat cross-legged on the floor, entranced, vividly sketching stick figures on her bedroom walls. These figures looked like they were from a nightmare, drawn with an eerie familiarity that sent goosebumps racing along Jenna's arms. "Lucy?" she whispered, feeling every heartbeat echo in her pulse. But Lucy continued to color in the walls with feverish determination, her eyes glazed over. That pit deep in Jenna's stomach twisted harder. This wasn't just innocent play, it felt like a call for help, or worse, a warning. The first real encounter with fear struck Jenna during a mundane grocery run. The lights flickered ominously above as she pushed her cart down the cereal aisle. A shadow loomed at the end of the row, a man with piercing eyes that seemed to bore into her soul. The tension in the air thickened. Was he the monster from the stories whispered among the parents? Her breath hitched, and a cold sweat broke out across her brow. She darted her eyes away, her heart racing in a wild, futile attempt to ignore him. When she reported the incident to local authorities, they waved her off. "Just a guy shopping," they had said dismissively. Her friend, once her lifeline, now avoided conversations about the predator, shunning Jenna's mounting paranoia. Desperate, Jenna turned to online forums, seeking respite only to find silence. Nobody wanted to talk about the mask lurking in the shadows, everyone pretending it wasn't there. As her legs carried her through dim, deserted parks and eerily quiet streets of Crestwood Heights, the friendly neighborhood she once adored morphed into something darker, something watching, waiting. With each chilling step, it became harder to deny. Every shadow cast by the trees felt like danger creeping closer, a sense of inevitability that she might not escape. The knot of dread in her gut twisted tighter. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That night, Jenna faced a masked figure in a tense showdown that fractured her understanding of safety. The legend of the predator was now entwined with her own family's secrets, darker truths from the past crashing into the present with a deadly intent. She felt the shadows closing around her, heavy with anticipation. Could she protect Lucy and Max from the danger that was stalking them, or had the real horror been lurking closer than she could have ever imagined? The night stretched on, and Jenna, heart pounding, stood frozen, knowing that the truth was almost upon her, and it was worse than she could ever have feared. Jenna's breath caught in her throat as the looming figure stepped forward, the moonlight briefly illuminating its twisted mask. Panic surged through her veins like ice water, turning her limbs to lead. She shifted her weight, trying to pull herself back toward the safety of her home, but dread rooted her to the spot. The figure tilted its head, as if intrigued by her terror, the mask reflecting a glimmer of the moon. Jenna's instincts screamed at her to run, to grab her children and disappear into the night, but fear froze her feet to the pavement. Somewhere, a dog barked, then fell silent. "You shouldn't be here," the figure whispered, its voice raspy, as if it hadn't been used in months. Each word crawled under her skin. Not when the shadows are hungry. What do you want? She struggled to find her voice, but it came out choked and small, like that of a frightened child. To show you the truth. It stepped closer, the silhouette twisting into an amorphous shape. She wondered if the darkness had stolen its edges, making it blend into the night itself. Jenna took a step back, suddenly aware of a strange familiarity that clung to the masked figure like a lingering scent. For a moment, she felt an unsettling connection to it, a darkness within herself, perhaps. You're just a story, she stammered, trying desperately to convince herself. Its laughter was low and guttural, and the sound sliced through the night air. Oh, Jenna. Stories don't come from nowhere. They're built on truths buried deep within the hearts of those who tell them. At that moment, the front door creaked open, and Lucy appeared, her small figure framed by the dim light spilling into the yard. In her hand was a crumpled piece of paper. Mommy? She asked, bewildered. The calm in her voice felt disjointed in the tense atmosphere. Lucy, get back inside! Jenna shouted, panic causing her to slip into a panic-fueled instinctive protection mode. But the figure turned its focus on Lucy. Ah, the artist, it mused, a twisted sense of admiration creeping into its voice. You've shown me things that even your mother refuses to see. No! Jenna screamed, lunging toward Lucy, shielding her with her body. But the masked figure held its ground. She sees, she knows in ways you can't fathom. A chilling pause hung between them. You cannot protect her from what has already set its roots. Jenna could hear her heart pounding, echoing her fear. Lucy stood transfixed, staring at the figure, her eyes oddly unafraid. Mommy, it's okay, she whispered. Her voice felt too calm, too still. Before Jenna could react, the darkness that surrounded them pulsed, as if responding to Lucy's words. Shadows writhed around her feet like serpents, and the air grew thick, stifling. Suddenly, Jenna was engulfed in the suffocating tension of desperation. Stay away from her! She screamed, and in that moment of rage she lunged. But the darkness exploded around her. Everything seemed to spiral as the masked figure retreated, melding back into the night. Lucy blinked, the bewildered look on her face replaced by something unnervingly serene. Why are you scared, Mommy? She questioned, her voice soft yet alarming. Jenna felt the weight of shadows drawing closer, whispering secrets that clawed at her mind. You don't understand, Lucy. We need to get inside, now. But as she turned to move, a low growl resonated from the shadows behind them, a sound that wrapped around her like icy fingers. The threat was far from over. And in that moment, with urgency screaming through her, Jenna could only wonder what grips of horror awaited them just beyond the threshold of their home, and how much more the shadows knew than she realized. Jenna's pulse raced as she scanned the yard, the apparition now melted into the inky darkness. Beside her, Lucy seemed impossibly calm. It was as if the girl were entangled in another world, one far too strange for Jenna to comprehend. The shadows writhed and danced, their movements unnaturally fluid. Lucy, please! Jenna said, desperation spilling from her voice. She gathered her daughter close, feeling the trembling of her own hands clash against Lucy's stillness. We need to go inside. Now. Lucy's gaze remained fixed on the darkened patch where the figure had stood. But Mommy, it said I have to help. The innocent confidence in her voice shattered Jenna's heart. A low growl, more tangible this time, echoed from the depths of the darkness. It felt alive, pulsating with malevolence. Jenna's instincts kicked in. We can't help anyone. Just listen to me. She felt the fear clawing at her throat. She needed to break this spell. The growl intensified, as if something larger, hungrier, lurked in the shadows beyond the glow of her porch light. Jenna's grip tightened around Lucy, shielding her from the unseen danger. We're going inside. Right now. Jenna dragged Lucy toward the door, but paused when Lucy suddenly pulled away. The girl stood firm, fiercely staring at the darkness again. Wait, she said, resolute, they are waiting for us. Who? What are you talking about? Jenna's voice cracked, nearly drowned out by the deepening growl. I don't know, Lucy mumbled, her brow furrowing as she processed a reality Jenna wasn't able to grasp. But I'm supposed to see the shadows. In a staggering moment, the wind shifted. The air was charged, electric, as if the very world around them was holding its breath. A piercing howl erupted from the unseen. Jenna's heart plummeted. No more games! She shouted into the void, ready to sprint. But before she could act, the shadows twitched violently, revealing silhouettes that materialized, fractured shapes contorting into figures with hollow eyes, mouths stretched in silent screams. These weren't the comfort of familiar faces but distorted beings, dripping with the essence of fright. Jenna staggered back, staring wide-eyed. I see them, Mommy, Lucy said, her tone wistful. They're trapped. No! Jenna gripped Lucy's arm, the chill creeping up her spine, forcing her breath to hitch. You have to listen to me. We have to go home. Help them, Lucy begged, her small hand reaching toward the shadows. They're lost and famished. The appeal in her eyes was heart-wrenching. From behind Jenna, an icy hand grazed her shoulder, a phantom touch that sent her spinning around, heart hammering against her ribs. Nothing was there, but the growl morphed into a cacophony of whispers, all indistinct yet pressing against her consciousness. Shadows took on forms, seeping toward them, expanding, eager to feed on the terror that rippled through the air. Rage surged in Jenna. We're not staying to entertain them, she screamed, pushing Lucy toward the door while dragging her own feet like they were encased in cement. But Lucy wouldn't budge, her eyes now glazed as if seeing something only she could comprehend. The shadows writhed with urgency, and Jenna felt the darkness close in. The air grew heavy with a sulfuric scent she couldn't place. Something was coming, she could feel it. Help us, the shadows whispered in unison, their voices intertwining like a haunting melody. Lucy! Jenna pulled again, panic flaring as Lucy remained imprisoned in the twitching darkness. Get back! As Jenna tore her daughter from the clutches of that shadowy grasp, she felt the weight of 1,000 lost souls pressing against her consciousness. You've brought her here, the whispers taunted, and now she must choose. Jenna felt her stomach drop. Choose what? She turned back to ask Lucy, but the girl was staring, wide-eyed, entranced. The shadows elongating, fingers reaching, begging for salvation or punishment. In that moment, with the darkness promising to consume them both, Jenna knew they could no longer escape the truth. And with each pulse of despair, a choice was looming, a decision that would ripple beyond the night, far beyond them. The question hung in the air, chillier than the whispers themselves. What did Lucy truly see that Jenna couldn't? Desperation clawed at her mind. Their survival clung to a thread, and the shadowy figures watched, waiting for the decision to unfold. Jenna felt the shadows' fingers grasp at her heart, asking louder than before, what would it take to save them? Jenna's grip on Lucy tightened as the whispers grew louder, a twisted symphony of longing and despair. Each word sent icy tendrils creeping down Jenna's spine, contracting her breath like a vice. The shadows pressed in, pulsating with a life of their own, shadows that seemed to slip through her fingers like sand. Frantic, she turned to Lucy, but her daughter was a statue, transfixed by a grim reality only she could see. Lucy, we have to go, Jenna pleaded, her voice cracking. But the shadows wrapped around Lucy's feet, pulling her toward their dark embrace. Mommy, they want to show me. Lucy's eyes shone with a mix of fear and fascination, as if the shadows had promised her something beyond understanding. A jagged shadow emerged closer, its face a black void, hollow and hungry. It stretched a long, claw-like hand toward them, beckoning with an urgency that made Jenna's heart pound in her ears. Help us, set us free, it rasped, its voice layered with desperation. Don't listen to them, Jenna screamed, willing her feet to move, but the ground felt like concrete, harder with every second. She was trapped in some nightmarish limbo as Lucy inched closer. In an act of pure instinct, Jenna lunged forward, arms outstretched, and yanked Lucy away from the encroaching terror. The girl stumbled back, her eyes wide, as if seeing a truth that sizzled in the air. Mommy! They just want to be free. No! Jenna hissed, adrenaline surging through her veins. She could feel the dread curling around her heart. Lucy, we can't save them. We have to save ourselves. The shadows recoiled, dark tendrils quivering around the edges, retreating as if her words were a shield. But the moment their fear retreated, the atmosphere thickened, and a deeper growl emanated from within the darkness, more guttural, more personal. It was a guttural promise of retribution. You're all part of this. You cannot turn your back on them, or it will be your turn. Jenna felt a paralyzing chill grip her body, as if the shadows were knitting threads of their despair into her very soul. A new figure emerged beside the mass, a woman lost in shadows, her face marked with tears, which fell silently like the remnants of broken dreams. Choose, sweet child, the woman wept, her voice echoing with pain. Mommy, she is in pain, Lucy whispered, her small voice trembling as she reached toward the ghostly figure, the shadows welcoming her touch with a slow, sinister draw. Lucy, no! Jenna felt her sanity slip as she lunged, grabbing her by the waist and tugging her back. But the very air vibrated with agony, and Jenna felt the world begin to shimmer and tear at the edges. The shadows were pulling them in, wrapping around their legs, inching ever closer to swallowing them whole. We need to get inside, Jenna shouted above the rising cacophony of tormented whispers, her heart racing. She sprinted for the door, dragging Lucy with her. But Lucy stopped again, her little hands reaching out, desperate, pleading. Mama, I can help them. I can't leave them. Panic surged in Jenna. They want to trap you. They're not your friends. The whispers crescendoed into a panic of hisses. A tidal wave of voices collided together, chanting her name, Jenna. You cannot escape this. The shadows expanded, forming a vortex, a whirlpool of despair spinning toward them both. Time slipped away. What is my daughter about to choose? Jenna thought desperately. She could feel the shadows tightening, squeezing her heart like a vice. Lucy froze, tears spilling as she whispered one last time. I see them, Mom, I have to help. Before Jenna could react, Lucy started to step forward, pulled by an invisible force. The shadows wrapped tighter around them, as Jenna's scream pierced the night. No! Please, don't do this! Then, in a split second, everything went dark. The whispers faded to silence, and an unbearable void enveloped them. Jenna could only feel Lucy's hands slip through hers, the warmth vanishing like smoke. Where were they? What had Lucy chosen? And what if the shadows were waiting for her next move? The intangible grip on reality twisted into a fearful silence, and Jenna was left with only weighty questions echoing in her heart. What price would she pay to save her daughter? What horrors awaited them in this unmarked void? Jenna's heart raced as she floundered in the void, the weight of silence wrapped around her like an unwelcome cloak. She strained to catch any sound, any sign of Lucy. Lucy! She called out, her voice trembling, swallowed by the nothingness. Panic settled in her chest, suffocating and heavy. Every nerve in her body was on high alert. There was no up, no down. Just endless blackness swirling with her thoughts. She felt disoriented, as if the very fabric of reality had unraveled around her. What have you done, Lucy? She whispered, feeling dread trickle through her veins. Suddenly, a faint spark flickered in the dark, a glimmer of light. Jenna squinted, instinct pushing her forward. The unsettling feeling of the shadows lurking, waiting, urged her to move toward it. As she approached, the light grew brighter, revealing fleeting glimpses of a room, its walls etched with dark patterns that writhed ominously. Please, she murmured, willing the darkness away, and blinked as the room solidified. It looked like the living room of their old house, the one she thought they had left behind for good. Her chest tightened with nostalgia mixed with fear. Lucy! Are you here? She screamed out again, the name echoing like a haunting chorus. And then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw Lucy's small figure, standing by the fireplace, her back turned to Jenna. The beam of light fell on her hair, illuminating her form, but the shadows twisted around her legs, binding her in place. Lucy, please! Jenna rushed forward, her only thought to reach her daughter, to sever the ties that bound her. As she got closer, the shadows hissed, slithering up Jenna's legs like venomous snakes, battling her every step. Get away from her! But then the whispers returned, louder, licking at her mind. Join us, join her, they beckoned, seductive, entangling her thoughts. Images flashed before Jenna, nightmares of torment, shadows of people lost and trapped, their faces twisted in pain. The shadows wrapped tighter, gnawing at her sanity. Mommy! Lucy turned, her face awash with sorrow, as the shadows retreated just enough for Jenna to catch sight of her. But it wasn't just Lucy anymore. There was something else looking out from behind those innocent eyes, a darkness that seemed familiar yet foreign. I can help them, Mommy. They're not bad. They want to be free. No! Lucy, listen to me. They'll tear you apart. You can help them. Jenna felt the ground beneath her trembling, how the shadows seemed to pulse and breathe, wrapping tighter around her until she could barely move. But they suffer. Just like us. Lucy's voice took on an eerie resonance, blending with the whispers until it was hard to tell who was speaking. The torment of the shadows quivered in the air, filled with longing and malice. A piercing chill shot through Jenna. Was it her child or the shadows that spoke? I love you, Lucy. I need you to come back to me. The darkness flickered, and in that moment, Jenna saw a grotesque figure drifting behind Lucy. A face haggard and empty, gaping eyes that were nothing but voids. Jenna's gut twisted. It raised an arm, claw-like fingers pointing toward her, the same beckoning gesture she had seen before. Help us! It echoed, and its voice carved through the very essence of Jenna's heart. Lucy! She screamed, desperation seeping into her words. The figure's fingers curled into a fist as shadows whipped around Lucy, threatening to pull her deeper into their clutch. A sudden surge of courage exploded within Jenna, and with it, she lunged forward, arms reaching out to her daughter. As she crossed the threshold of shadows and light, a blinding flash erupted, igniting the room in an unbearable glow. And then, silence fell once more. Jenna stood alone, surrounded by a void. But now, a new fear gripped her. What have I done? As shadows reformed around her, whispers returned, sharper, more insistent. You chose, now pay the price. Frozen in place, Jenna faced a new reality. The darkness pressed in, and a chilling question lingered in her mind. How far would she go to bring Lucy back? From the abyss? The shadows surged once again, threatening to consume her entirely, and Jenna braced herself, feeling the weight of what was to come. What would she discover beyond the threshold of hope? The silence held her like a vice, squeezing the breath from Jenna's lungs. She could hear nothing but the faint ringing in her ears, an unsettling reminder that she was utterly alone in this desolate plain. The shadows loomed ever closer, restless and hungry. Each whisper they shared grew louder, filling her mind with dread, the promise of horrors yet to unfold. Pay the price, they taunted, a chorus of voices thick with malice. Jenna clenched her fists, fighting back the encroaching despair. She had to keep her mind clear. She had to think. Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye, another glimmer of light, warmer and more inviting. With her heart pounding, she pivoted toward it, the perilous shadows still baying at her heels. The light beckoned her, illuminating a narrow path through the pressing darkness. Every instinct told her to embrace it, to grasp at the hope it dangled before her. As she stepped forward, the shadows shrank back, hissing and snapping as if they were retreating from the light. Jenna felt a rush of adrenaline and hope surge through her limbs, driving her onward. This light could lead her to Lucy, or at least a way out. But as she ran, her surroundings began to shift again. The familiar room morphed and twisted, the shadows crawling across the floor like living things, weaving themselves into the fabric of another reality. Blood-red wallpaper erupted in patches, peeling away to reveal damp, rotting plaster beneath. The floorboards creaked ominously, as if warning her about each step she took. Then, a chilling laugh echoed behind her. It was a sound so familiar, yet utterly wrong. Jenna whipped around to face it. There, standing in the shadows, was Lucy, her form unmistakable yet distorted. A vacant expression covered her face, a dissonant contrast to the childlike innocence Jenna had held close all those years. "Mommy!" Lucy's voice rang out, a haunting melody that sent chills racing down Jenna's spine. "You have to help us. It's so dark I'm scared." "Lucy!" "No!" Jenna screamed, reaching out desperately. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she fought against the heaviness pressing on her heart. "It's lying! Don't listen to it." The figure of Lucy wavered, flickering like a faulty light bulb. "You have to join us, Mommy. They need you. We can all be free together." "Together? What does that even mean?" Jenna gasped, backing away from the seductive pull of the shadows that slithered enticingly closer. Free? Was it freedom if it meant losing her child forever? If Lucy was trapped in this place, so consumed by the void, what kind of freedom could ever exist? With renewed urgency, Jenna clawed her way back toward the light, glancing back only to catch a glimpse of Lucy being consumed by the looming darkness. The whispering intensifying around her, "Join us, join her." The light flickered, pulsed, and she could feel something shift in the air. Was it a storm or a shift in the balance of the darkness? Jenna bolted through the ever-changing maze of shadow and light, desperate to escape the watery grip of despair wrapping around her. And then, as if the wandering shadows could sense victory, they lunged forward. They reached for her with icy fingers, pulling at her clothes, tugging at her skin. Jenna fought against their grasp, heart racing, as if in a race against time itself. "Stay away from me!" she howled, but her voice echoed weakly in the tumult. Panic clawed at her throat like a beast, and she realized that the light was waning, its warmth fading. "Help us!" the shadows cooed, dangerously close now, their form melding eerily with the shrieking sound of Lucy's laughter. Jenna gritted her teeth, focusing on that final spark of hope that pushed her forward. It pulled at her heart, a tether that could lead her out of this nightmare or seal her fate forever. But just as she reached the edge of the light, the laughter turned to a wail, a scream so agonizing it pierced her soul. Jenna spun around, the shadows closing in with an insatiable hunger. What would she sacrifice to save Lucy from this fate? As the darkness swallowed her whole and the laughter echoed into a chilling silence, a chilling thought took hold. Was this truly a fight for her daughter, or was she simply trading one prison for another? With that uncertainty filling her heart, Jenna plunged into the darkness, unaware of the true cost that awaited her. What price would she pay to save her child from the depths of despair? The darkness wrapped around Jenna like a shroud, thick and suffocating. She felt a creeping chill crawl up her spine as she stepped deeper into the void, the whispers circling her like vultures. "Join us, join her!" echoed through the emptiness, their seductive cadence mixing with the pulse of her racing heart. Jenna stumbled, disoriented, struggling to keep her bearings, but the ground beneath her seemed to shift, twisted and treacherous. She cursed under her breath, clawing at the air as if it could somehow pull her back to safety. Each inhale felt sharper, burning her lungs, as shadows lunged at her, eager to absorb her into their chilling embrace. "Lucy!" she shrieked, her voice barely a whisper against the cauldron of cold. The shadows pulled at her clothes, fraying the fabric, and she felt a sharp tug at her legs as if the very ground wanted to claim her as its own. "I'm coming!" Then abruptly, she found herself standing still, caught in the eye of a storm. The shadows parted for a brief moment, revealing a scene that made her heart stop. It was a small, sunlit room, a forgotten corner of their home. There were crayon drawings of unicorns and castles on the walls, remnants of happier days. A sweet scent lingered in the air, warm cookies perhaps, or a hint of something floral. In the center stood Lucy, her face turned away, golden curls shimmering in the soft light. "Mommy!" Lucy turned slowly, her innocent smile twisting into a grimace. "You can't leave me here!" the shadows hissed, snaking in, eager to devour the light. Jenna stumbled backward, heart pounding against her ribcage. "No! Don't listen! It's a trick!" But Lucy reached out, her small hand imploring. "Help us, Mommy! We're waiting for you!" All around, the room darkened as the shadows pressed closer, devouring the warmth. Retrograde memories of Lucy's laughter were drowned out with the muffled screams of countless others. The chilling laughter transformed into agonized wails, an unsettling chorus of lost hope. "You will never leave!" they cried, their voices converging in a cacophony of despair. Fighting through panic, Jenna shoved the unbearable images away. "I love you too much, I'll never give in." She pivoted, racing toward the blinding warmth that flickered like a star. The very air felt electric, crackling with urgency as the darkness clawed at her. Yet each step felt heavier than the last. It was as if the shadows were grappling her legs, pulling her down into their depths. "You belong to us," they hissed in unison. The pressure felt like a vice, gnawing at her resolve. Gritting her teeth, Jenna strained against the blackness, forcing herself to breathe deep to remember Lucy's touch, her laughter, that small, warm weight cradled against her chest. With each pulse of determination, the light shone brighter, staving off the encroaching dark just enough to keep her moving. She tore through the last tendrils of shadow, emerging from the inhospitable realms into an open expanse. The walls of darkness recoiled, but an immense sense of foreboding gripped her heart. Before her lay a massive obsidian door, ancient and ornate, etched with sinister symbols that seemed to shift as she gazed at them. "Not that way," the voices hissed, spinning around her in a cyclone of whispers. "You'll lose everything." Jenna hesitated, but the thrill of fear propelled her forward. Drawing in a cleansing breath, she pushed against the door. It resisted, groaning ominously as if warning her of the consequences. But she had come too far. There was only one way left to go. As the door creaked open, a blinding light poured forth, illuminating strange visions clouded with darkness. Just before she moved through, a final whisper echoed, "Flames await you, what will you sacrifice for her?" With the weight of destiny pressing down, Jenna plunged through. The door swung shut behind her with a thunderous clap, a chilling silence enveloping her once more. What awaited her in this new realm? What price would she have to pay next? Jenna stepped into the blinding light, wincing against its intensity. Her heart raced with claustrophobic urgency. What lay beyond the massive door twisted her gut with dread. The warmth she felt flickered dangerously, like a candle about to be snuffed out. As her eyes adjusted, the atmosphere shifted sharply. She stood in a cavernous hall, the ceiling lost in shadow. Golden candlelight flickered in sconces lining the walls, casting warped silhouettes of grotesque figures that seemed to watch her every move. The air was thick, heavy with an acrid scent, like burned sugar and fear. Jenna hesitated, scanning the space for signs of life, nervous sweat beading on her forehead. Was she truly alone, or were the shadows watching, waiting for the right moment to pounce? "Lucy?" she called, her voice trembling. No answer. An unsettling silence wrapped around her. Something shifted in the back of the room. A figure emerged from the darkness, swathed in a tattered cloak. Pale hands peeked out, grasping at the fabric as if they were desperate to escape. Jenna's heart sank into her stomach. "Lucy?" The figure stepped into the light. It wasn't he, her daughter. The man had a death-like pallor, sunken cheeks, and eyes that shimmered with an unnatural glow. "Welcome, dear visitor, to the other side," he rasped, each syllable dripped in malice. "Where's Lucy? What have you done?" Jenna's body tensed, instinct screaming at her to flee. "Lucy is here, but perhaps not in the way you assumed." He leaned closer, his breath rancid and chilling. "To save her, you must understand the price." The shadows roared to life, swelling against Jenna's back like an insatiable beast. "What price?" she demanded, forcing every ounce of strength into her voice. "Tell me." The flames, his smile revealed rotting teeth. "She is a part of them now, as are you. To rescue her, you must confront what lies within. You must embrace the fire." Jenna took a step back, feeling the warmth of the torchlight intensifying. It wasn't reassuring, it screamed danger, the heat teasing that familiar flicker of pain. "I want to do it." "Ah, the stubbornness of a mother." He chuckled darkly, and the sound slithered through her. "But you will. The flame flickers for you both." Before she could demand again, the hall twisted and turned as if a dark wind had swept through. The walls closed in, clutching at her as if the very structure was alive, intent on consuming her spirit. Each step she took felt weighted, a frantic heartbeat thrumming in her ears. She stumbled over a loose stone, skinning her knees on harsh, stone ground. Gasping for breath, Jenna fought against the shadows. They clawed at her, desperate to pull her back into their arms. "Lucy!" Her voice broke, echoing through the hall. The walls responded, morphing into fleeting images of fire and ash, showing her flashes of something familiar: a mother reaching out, a daughter crying, love engulfed by the raging flames. An image tore through Jenna, raw and vivid, her own hands clasped in anguish as Lucy vanished into darkness. It swelled, the haunting chill urging her to relent. "No!" Jenna screamed, fighting against the ocean of despair that threatened to drown her. She took a deeper breath, remembering her love for her daughter, the laughter shared under afternoon sun. There was no way back. She could feel it. Death was hovering, lurking, no longer just a possibility, but an unyielding truth. The price was set. "Whatever it takes," she choked out, raw and resolute. The figure's laugh exploded around her. "Then let the flames awaken. Step into what you truly fear, and reveal the sacrifice." A new wave of shadows rushed to envelop her, but Jenna held firm, steeling herself. She saw the door behind her, the one she had come through, banging against the frame with a desperate might. From the depths of that chaos, a distant cry reached her ears, sharp and haunting. "Mommy, was it Lucy?" She turned, heart pounding, ready to face whatever horror lay ahead. Would she brave those flames for the sake of her child? As the shadows lunged forward, everything spiraled into a whirlwind. Jenna steeled herself against the darkness, ready to make the final leap into the unknown. But what awaited her in the flames? Would she find Lucy, or lose herself forever? Jenna's heart hammered in her chest, an erratic drum echoing in the vastness of the hall. The shadows lunged at her, their grasp like icy fingers drawing closer, pulling her back from the flames she could feel bubbling just beyond her reach. The figure's laughter reverberated around her, taunting, mocking. "Embrace the flame, dear mother!" he hissed, his mouth a grotesque smile, eyes dancing with an unnerving light. "Step into that which frightens you most, only then will you find her." She hesitated, fear clashing against the fierce love swelling within her. The flames were unyielding, fierce. They flickered and twisted, promising both destruction and salvation. If Lucy was anywhere, it had to be within those firelit depths. But what would it cost her? The cry echoed in her mind again, that desperate "mommy" carved into her veins. It urged her forward, breaking through the clutches of doubt. "Lucy!" she shouted, feeling the weight of her daughter's essence in the air around her, urging her to press on. With a shaky breath, Jenna stepped into the heat. The fire enveloped her, a raging tempest of light and shadow. An immediate wave of heat coursed over her, stinging her skin, and she gasped as flames licked at her ankles. But instead of pain, she felt warmth. A sensation of embracing something raw, something that needed her. "Good," the cloaked figure murmured, almost a whisper, swirling in the backdrop as a spectator of her plight. "Let it awaken your true self. Let it consume what you once were." The flames danced, forming images of her past, memories of her and Lucy laughing together, the smell of fresh cookies in their kitchen, the softness of lullabies at night. But between those glimpses, the fire morphed, and she saw darker images: her failures, the moments of anger and despair. Her heart sank as the horrors of motherhood spiraled before her, carving at her soul. "Stop!" Jenna roared, fighting against the pain of those memories, the shadows clamoring closer, hungry for her defeat. Yet, within the tumult, she clung to the spark of hope. She pushed through her anguish, calling upon the love that had kept her going. And suddenly, the flames twisted once more, revealing a figure trapped amidst the blaze. There she was. Lucy. But she was not as Jenna remembered. Her daughter was distorted, flickering between reality and nightmare. "Mommy, help me!" Lucy cried, tears flowing like silver ashes. The sight sent Jenna to her knees, horror pooling in her stomach. "What did you do to her?" Jenna screamed, feeling fury ignite anew. "Nothing yet," the man taunted, drifting closer, eyes glinting. But this is where the true sacrifice begins. In that moment, Jenna realized the cost of the flames was not just her fears, but more profound, a part of herself had to burn away. She had to face the guilt and darkness residing within her, the truth buried deep in her heart. Embrace the fire, the cloaked figure urged. Let it consume your pain. Only then can you save her. But could she do that? Could she confront the darkest corners of her soul to save Lucy? Jenna's instincts screamed at her to turn back, to fight through the pain and clutch her daughter again. As flames roared higher, shadows descended faster, gnashing their teeth. Choose, Mother! The longer you delay, the closer darkness will claim her. Panic surged through Jenna. The figure in the flames flickered again, Lucy reaching for her. Mommy, don't let go! Jenna felt a surge of energy from the memory of their love, a fierce fire igniting something deep within. She thrust herself into the inferno with a primal scream, determined to break through. But would embracing this new self lead her back to Lucy, or would she be lost to the twisted nightmare forever? The flames roared louder, waiting for an answer that only Jenna could give. Jenna's body felt electric as she dove into the flames, her heart pounding with an unyielding resolve. The fire swirled around her like a protective cloak, fierce yet familiar. It illuminated the shadows that whispered doubts into her ear, erasing their power with each ecstatic flicker. Through the heat, she saw Lucy's figure, pleading, her eyes glistening like two burning stars amidst an ocean of darkness. Mommy! Lucy cried, her voice echoing through the chaos. Help me, please! The dread in Jenna's chest twisted tighter, but she pushed forward, navigating through the scorching inferno, determined to reach her child. The shadows screeched as she advanced, furious at her defiance. You cannot prevail! The darkness is all-consuming! They hissed, their voices blending into a tempest of taunts. Not today! Jenna shouted back, her voice ringing with conviction. I choose love over fear. Each word fueled her resolve, burning brighter than the flames that scorched her skin. An unbearable heat roared behind her, a reminder that she couldn't lose focus. She couldn't turn back. Jenna reached for Lucy, who appeared suspended between the flickering shadows. Grab my hand! She urged, extending her arm wide. The closer she got, the more she felt the darkness tugging at Lucy, as if trying to bound them both in despair. I can't! It won't let me! Lucy's voice trembled as more shadows enveloped her petite frame, dragging her deeper into the abyss. Jenna could feel her resolve fraying. You're strong, sweetheart. Remember the games we played, the laughter we shared? That bond, that love? It's our strength. Hold on to it. Images of their life washed over them, memories entwined in shimmering light, the warmth of laughter-filled Sundays, slow walks in the park, the warmth of snuggled hugs sprinkled with bedtime stories. These were the flames in which they were forged, a powerful light against the ghastly shadows. Mommy, I'm scared. Jenna swallowed hard against the lump in her throat. Lucy, look at me. I'm with you. I will always be with you. She felt the tether of their love, an unbreakable bond burning brighter than the darkness around them. With renewed determination, Jenna stretched her arm, gathering every ounce of strength, every memory of love, and thrust her soul into the blaze. I will not let you go! She screamed. The flames surged, a fierce tide pushing against the looming shadows. To Jenna's incredible surprise, the shadows retreated, shrinking back as if scalded by her defiance. Finally, she felt the warmth of Lucy's tiny hands slip into hers. Mommy! Lucy beamed, her face flooding with relief. The shadows hissed angrily, attempting to reclaim their lost prize, but Jenna held Lucy tight. We're breaking free together. In that moment of pure connection, a blinding light erupted from the space between them. The flames sparked outward, consuming the shadows in their blaze of power. A wave of warmth rushed through them, shattering the darkness that had threatened to engulf their hearts. Let us go home, Jenna urged, leading Lucy through the roiling flame that promised salvation. The shadows shrieked and writhed, breaking apart, their whispers fading to nothingness as luminous light surrounded them. As they surged forward, the world shifted again. Jenna felt the heat dissipate, the flames transforming into tranquility, washing over them both like a comforting embrace. And then they stood back in their living room. Sunlight poured through the windows, illuminating their home in a golden glow. The air held the scent of freshly baked cookies, just as Jenna remembered. "What just happened?" Lucy asked, her eyes wide with wonder and a tinge of fear. Jenna knelt, forcing her trembling hands to cup Lucy's cheeks. "We faced it, sweetheart. You and I. We faced the darkness together, and we triumphed." Tears streamed down Jenna's face, not from fear, but from the overwhelming relief and love radiating between them. In that moment, everything felt different. The shadows were out there, lurking maybe, but no longer a threat. Together, they defeated the fear that had twisted into their lives, and with that clarity, Jenna realized that they could reclaim their home, reclaim their lives. The day bloomed like a flower, and Jenna felt like a warrior, not just a mother. They could continue forward, face whatever came their way, hand in hand, side by side. As they embraced, Jenna finally felt free, her fear transformed into hope. The shadows might return, but they had a power that soared beyond darkness. "Never forget, Lucy," she whispered into her daughter's hair. "We are stronger together." And with that, they stepped out into the sunlight, the weight of despair lost to the light, ready to embrace whatever came next together. Now, if you've enjoyed this story and want more journeys that tug at the heartstrings and prick at the spine, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know how much you love a good story. Don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think awaits Jenna and Lucy next? And for the love of all things spooky, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these simple actions.